There are two essential purposes. The first is to protect people from outside unseen spiritual forces, and the second is for personal transformation. So when someone's got an issue, we would call it anger, guilt, shame, regret. All of these things are challenging to look at, but the frequencies in the unity bubble are specifically to assist someone in gaining deeper personal awareness. My own personal interest, having worked with people for so long on those kinds of issues and their core issues, to allow that to use that space so that they could transform their own lives with a little bit of help from some of our great friends. So it is about personal responsibility and accepting that you've done things in your life, and would I do that now? No, doesn't suit my purpose. So one grows into greater understanding of principles, fundamental principles of consciousness, and living in alignment with the principles of life. And you can choose what you like to do, but somebody else is not choosing for you. So it's breaking away from that. It's very difficult to describe, put into words, because as with the essence of a rose, how do you describe the smell of a rose if you haven't sniffed one before? We get very close to essence when we're talking about the work that we do. Spiritual is essence. Spiritual is who we are. Comes down through various channels, but it is essentially who we are. So if I ask you the question, who are you? How do you answer that? In 10 words or less. So it's very challenging with the bubble to explain what it is, except that it is the extension of my own certain abilities that I've had lifelong, connected with higher beings in the discovery of the nature of consciousness. How does consciousness work? What is it? How do we interact with it? So that's the nature of it, but it's transmitted. It's very simple to transmit, at least from myself it is, and the only requirement is to be willing and open. So in the same fashion that one would be putting on a dinner party for your favored guests and your very good friends, the bubble was pondered. How would you do this? What would you take in terms of spiritual attributes? What should be added? What should be subtracted? So it was a process that took a great deal of time, and we had a great deal of assistance. For many people, there are instant transformation as instant change. For some people, there's not. They feel nothing. We don't really know what any particular one person will experience. Some people are very sensitive spiritually. They've trained over a lifetime. And so they're very aware of this is what's happened to me. Other people are not, and they're not really that interested. They just think it sounds like a nice idea. Well, I'd like one of this, if I can have one. And so their processing is different. They actually end up in the same place. The journey is prescribed. And the essential thing is to know yourself. But we all need help. Nobody does it themselves. Generally, each person reaches a place of extremely profound peace. Like, things don't bother them anymore. People don't bother them anymore. Situations don't bother them anymore. They come to that place inside, and it's a conjunct. They come to the place of silence. Not that there is one, you understand. I mean, silence is, if you go in a cave, you're still going to hear your ears, and you're still going to hear your heartbeat. But to get to that place where you don't pay attention to noise anymore, and to connect with your essential being, is really to connect with your nature. And humans seem to have forgotten that they have a basic nature. And they've forgotten who they are because they look at all of this. They say, oh, I'm that. I'm my car. I'm my house. I'm my role. I'm the father here, I'm the mother here. They forget about themselves in the process. Generally, the people who come are in crisis of one kind or another. They've reached a gateway, a door that they don't know how to get through, how to cross, or they want to leave the house behind. They've had enough of what they've had enough of, and they've come to the point where they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. You've heard that. But this is essentially suffering, and how do we suffer? Generally, we suffer emotionally. Your head doesn't suffer at all. I mean, your brain still keeps talking, your internal voice keeps telling you this and that. So it's emotionally people are suffering. Why are they suffering? Because everything's been topsy-turvy. They don't know the truth of themselves. They don't recognize that. That's suffering. And an end of suffering is required if we're to move anywhere. So the bubble was designed specifically to end suffering, but not for the human race. I mean, that's not my choice. And it's not anyone's choice for another, but rather those who would prefer to stop suffering. And let's say you get rid of your emotional stuff, you incorporate it, you absorb the lessons of the past, and then you go into the future with choice. You don't even have a choice. You're just going to run according to the patterns that were set in place that you've accepted from your parents, the society, and your peers, and your self-talk. So until you actually get over that, you're going to continue to suffer. There's no way around it. You have to. So the bubble was to assist people to move through that in a transformational way. Now, for myself, I know that I've always been able to do this, to transform the situations from childhood. Somebody said, I would like this. It's good, great, have it. They would come back, say they had it. Okay, I don't know how it works. I just know that it does. And so, over a period of time, I was simply able to say, basically, so be it, and their life would alter. So that was the technology. That was, okay, you've got this, now what are you going to do with it? So, you want to help yourself first, naturally, we all do. And then once you've helped yourself, you help others. Or you help others according to your own journey. So you're a little bit further ahead, not to suggest that I'm perfect or that anyone's perfect, but that you move into a deeper level of acceptance of the fact that you really are perfect, that every molecule is in the right place and all the birdies are flying in the heavens, you know, and that it's all actually perfect, just where's your place in it? So the bubble was designed to assist that. And then progressively, as we got through, we recognized, well, this is part of your journey. And you go, wow, things are really swell. But there's this other one thing. What would that be? Well, we've already been there. So we know what it is. And that's what people tell us. I just got to this place. You've already got it. I said, yeah, just because I walked down the path before you. That's all. So the intention is to connect one with Source, with your perception of soul, with the still small voice, and to gain your power from that place. Most people are busy helping others, and then they break down because they're helping others from the little person. But when you connect to the Source, it's endless. Look at Mother Teresa, she connected to the Source, endless. All the saints, same thing, what do? Connected to the Source. Well, who's the Source? Themselves. Is there going to be somebody else show up? Nobody's showing up. It's you, right? Well, I have to connect to God. Well, how do you think you do that? Connect with you, because a certain aspect of yourself is divine. Find that aspect. Where are you going to find it? It ain't out there. Guess what? Kingdom of heaven. Yeah. So that's the way it is. It's the paradox. It's the fact that we are a joke. Not only, and the bubble also assists people to find that they're not only the one who's listening to the joke, they're telling it to themselves, and they're also the one on whom it's played. There's nothing more than a tri-farce here. You've got all the elements of of humor when you actually get something. And how did I play this incredible joke on myself? And did I plan this in advance? So there's very much an opening to the sense of humor, and there's also an opening to the truth. What is going on here? You ask the question of self, it says, that's not the truth. You get, we would call them in this country, BS antennas that are extremely long. You can't be lied to. Maybe you can if you choose to be, but you know the truth. You understand your own motivations. You understand the motivations of others. You can see where they've come from. Why? Because you've already been there. You've done this journey. Oh, I see where you are. Without being judgmental. A lot of it is, finally, is dealing with the judgment. This is not the first thing that's dealt with. It's the last thing that's dealt with. Now, how many of us know people who are judgmental? Me, for one, I was hugely judgmental for many, many years. I could not understand how people couldn't see how simple it was, so I judged them. I judged everybody all the time. It was just a way of being. Until in the last, final stages of, pardon me, of the bubble opening, the ego comes out, it's supported, it's got all these wonderful vibrations of love, compassion, empathy, kindness, self-worth, confidence, and then it feels, oh, I don't have to be in charge. I don't need to be. Well, maybe I could give up this role that I'm really not very good at. I really don't want to do the job. Well, it seems that I'm supported here. And so it goes into the final stages of resolution, which is, do I need to run this? Can I run this? Is this possible to run? Can I even understand it? I mean, life is not easy to understand. It's complex. But it's vastly simplified when one makes certain decisions, certain choices in a certain state, at a certain state of being. When you're in that, you're clear, you're open. When you make that choice as yourself, there's a whole line of beings who hear and say, make it so. I don't make anything so. I choose which direction. The whole stream will go, because it's got to follow my lead. I think that there are many people and many philosophies and many plans. There are many good plans out there. People are doing good work. This is another way. And it's a way that I understand, and it's a way that many people say, that sounds terrific. I mean, if I could only have one of those. Well, actually, you can. And yes, you've been thought about, because aren't we all the same in one sense? And yet, is our journey not individual in another? So there are other good plans on the face of the earth, but I don't know which ones they are. I know this works, and it's worked with a great number of people, progressively over more than 7 years. And it's gone through stages, and we have a protocol, a series of protocols, takes you to the top of Everest. What is the view from the top of Everest? The biggest, grandest view of yourself you could ever get, on this earth. That doesn't mean that you're going to be the great enlightened one, not to make any fun here, but that it's about knowing yourself. It's know thyself. That's the two most important words in the English language, in every language. It's the heart of every religion, it's the heart of every philosophy, and it's the heart of all mastery. And the difference is before, should I be this way? Do I like that? Should I be this? No, you don't come from that place anymore. You come from, I am, and I do. It appears incredibly simple, but simple does not translate to easy. It's never. The greatest masterpieces always look as if they're the simplest possible thing. And the bubble is a very simple thing, but it was complicated to construct it, and it's not in the human mindset. A human couldn't think these things up, not in the correct order, because there is a correct order. So what we find is that people unfold in a certain way. The most challenging elements, they're angry. That's the trigger that will bring them in. Well, I'm really angry with so-and-so about this. And, my mother made me do it. My father made me do it. And so once that starts to be worked on, which happens over a very short period of time, then things start to even out. And then it becomes interesting. So looking at the work is, oh, not that. I have to look at this. And then after a while it becomes, wow, that's interesting. Look at that. Because the pain goes. I won't say that it addresses physical ailments, because I live in a country where you can't make any kind of claim unless you have a license from a credentialed organization who has determined at some point in history that they are the authority. So it's not a good thing for me to make any claims. I can say that certain things have happened. Of course, it may not be the bubble, but yes. Personally, I have experienced many, many things that people would consider to be miraculous healings through my life. And so for me, it's not, it might happen, it might not happen, but I'm not going to make any particular claims about it. But the heart of illness is not in the body. That's the end of illness, is in the body. So illness starts with a spiritual being out of alignment spiritually in a certain place, and the body resonates with that, and all of a sudden, because you're angry, you've got a liver condition. Because you're urban hermit, or you're building an empire at the cost of everyone else, you have a major bypass problem. You're going to have a heart operation. You don't have life, you're going to lose the spirit from your lungs. You know, if you've got real nasty challenges, you're going to have tuberculosis, something of that nature. You break your leg, it's because something has been getting you to the point where you basically, my foot, I've lost my leg. And so all of these things have specific conditions. And of course, if you deal with them, which the bubble helps you with doing, guess what? The cause may just disappear. Well, what happens if the cause disappears? You cut the tree off, the leaf dies. So you cut the root of disease by going to the spiritual heart of it. What is this? How does it affect the emotions? How does it affect the way your life works? How you set yourself up to be in exactly this position? You address those, you go, oh my goodness, I never knew. Those 3 little words changed my life. If I'd simply reordered them even, my life would have been different. So yes, the study of self gets you free. And that is the ultimate aspect, is we were designed to be free beings. Everything in this universe is with regards to the choice of each individual sentient being to make choices for self. It is an exploration. That's what it's all about. And so the bubble assists in people getting to know self. And that's the heart of it. Over 7 years, probably about 1,500. Yeah, in 16, 17 countries. I'm unaware of the bubble not working for anyone. At this point, no one has ever come to me and said, your bubble doesn't work. But in the first month of getting the bubble, it really very much depends on the individual, because some people are highly sensitive. They've had a great deal of experience. One of the good things is that we know that the sensitive people all experience the same things. We also know that the non-sensitive people also experience the same things, which is the difference being that there's nothing and there can be a great deal. So we've had a huge wide range of experience that we can't say how you will receive it. What we do know is if you're very sensitive and you have friends and you have very much awarenesses that are not part of normal mainstream awareness, yeah, you'll know this works. And you'll be so glad you have it. The other ones is like, well, I'd like to do that, but gee, I think I can buy that. I got another club in my golf bag, but it's not going to work the same way, but it still works. So it doesn't really matter whether you even know that it's working. It's working because you've made certain decisions. When you make these decisions, things change. And you made them in a certain space and with regards to a certain way of living. You have made choices. And I'm able to transform people in that space at that time. The bubble has been a 7-year journey for ourselves, but it doesn't take 7 years for someone. We know that we can compress this process into about 6 months. In 6 months, you will have literally a life that I've told people for many years, oh, if you work with me 6 months from now, you will not know who you are today. And they all think I'm nuts, and they all say, I don't remember who I was. How could I have been that way? It is so different. I feel completely different with regards to myself. I can see where they are. I know where I am. So that's the process. In the actual process, it unfurls about a month afterwards. You've got enough of yourself. You don't have to go through the torture of going through this, and we put the bubble on automatic. It's not an automatic vehicle. It's one to assist you to learn how to choose properly for yourself. I don't want this anymore, bubble, remove it from me. Whew, gone. We realized you can't be conscious of everything. So we provided another vehicle that would allow you to not have to be so conscious all the time. Now you know yourself, you know how you process, and it puts the bubble on automatic. The first month is really about yourself. Who am I? How do I function? The second month is, okay, now how do I interact with the world? We got a big broad river down there. We put you on the river and you flow with it so that you start to get into alignment with yourself. And once you get into alignment with yourself, you're actually in alignment. That's what the flow is. You are in alignment with the way creation functions. You become a part of it. You plug yourself back into it. Then we realize there are other aspects like how am I restricted? And we worked through that. So every month there's another one, until we finally get to that original decision, like, why are you here? And you go, that's why I'm here. Okay? So people think, I know I have a purpose. The real purpose here is to know yourself. That's the work. That's the job. There isn't anything else. Everything else is busy time. You do this because it's fun. Well, it's a lot more fun when you know who you are. And you are who you are, and you do who you are. And that's what the whole process helps you with. In a word, yes. That's what the process is for. That's what it's for. In a word, yes. And yes again. And yes.